Alright, in this video I'm going to show you how I set up my telescope in the ALTAS configuration. It's going to be an ALTAS mount. That means I'm only going to use it for visual. It's just a push-to mount. I just push the scope wherever I want to look through and look through the eyepiece. It doesn't have any motors on it, so it doesn't track. It has a computer on it so I can find stuff. So let me show you how I set it up. Okay, this is my telescope right here. It's a Televue NP-101. It's about 15, 20 years old. I don't remember. I got it used. They don't make this telescope anymore. At one time, this was one of the best 4-inch refractors you could get. It still is. They just don't sell it anymore. It got too expensive to make. They make them in the USA. And now they have overseas scopes you could get for about half the price of this one. So they quit making this one. They still make the 5-inch. This is a 4-inch, and they make a 3-inch, the Televue 85, which I also have, and a Televue 76, which I also have. Those are smaller telescopes, but this is the 4-inch version. And let's talk about the mount. Okay, this is the mount right here. It's made by Discmounts, and it's DM6. That means it's got 6-inch bearings. These bearings right here. It's got one in here and got one there in the bottom. And it's an ALTAS mount. No motors, like I said. This little thing on top here is it's a little computer, and it helps me find stuff in the sky with that computer. It tells me where to point, and gives me a bunch of information about the object. You could scroll through it and it tells you all kinds of stuff. If you point at a galaxy, it tells you the size and how far away it is and stuff like that. Anyway, let's get on to the tripod. The tripod I have here is it's made by Software Bisque. It's called a pyramid tripod. It's made to carry real heavy telescope setups. This is pretty light, so this is an overkill for what I use it for. But I already had this tripod, so I'm using it, and it's a really nice tripod, one of the best tripods made, actually. And they also don't make it anymore. I think it also got too expensive to make and to sell. I think this one sold for about $2,500 when it was new. Now they have cheaper ones. They actually made cheaper, but they cost more, about the same, a couple $1,000. And the mount, I don't know if I mentioned it, but the mount is also no longer made. And but they have other similar mounts to that one. But that used to be one of the best ALTAS mounts made, but they are no longer available. You can get a used one. That's how I got mine. I got a used one. Anyway, let me show you how I set up the tripod. Alrighty, I'm going to show you how I set up my tripod. First, you stretch out all the legs. And then you tighten up this tray right here. It's where I keep my eyepieces. And I have this little level that I use to level the tripod. The nice thing about this tripod is that it's got these knobs right here, so you can level the tripod. It raises the bottom it's got some feet on the bottom of the tripod, so you don't have to bend down to adjust the tripod. You just turn these knobs right here, and it levels the tripod. I already have it leveled. Put some weight on it, make sure it doesn't move when I put the mount on it. And another feature of this tripod it's got a little knob down here that you turn, and then you could aim the head. I don't use this feature right now, but if I put a different German equatorial mount on it or something, that I have to find the North Star, I could point it at straight north without having to move the tripod. On a normal tripod that doesn't do this, if it's off a little bit, you have to pick up the tripod and move it until you get it pointing where you want. But this one is adjustable. Let's tighten that back up. Now we'll set up the mount. This has a screw right here at the bottom, and it goes right there and attaches the mount to the tripod. Since it's the same size as this, it's pretty easy to get it lined up. Let's tighten it up, and it's good to go. Now we'll set up the telescope. This mount has a place right here that takes Lost Mandy plates. This is a Lost Mandy plate, and you just put it in on the bottom, tilt it up, and then you tighten these two knobs right here. And then once you get those knobs tightened down, that telescope's not going anywhere. And we adjust the diagonal so it's pointing straight up. We take off the lens cap. It screws on and off. Then you have the dew shield that slides out so you don't get any moisture from the dew on the lens. Next thing you do is you have to balance your telescope. If it's not balanced right now this one's balanced, but I'll show you what happens if it's not balanced. You loosen up that clamp. If it's not balanced, the telescope will fall down like that, and it won't stay balanced. Same thing if you have it too far forward, it'll fall forward. So you have to find a happy medium. And you have to put it with the eyepiece. I forgot. You take off this little cap right here. Put your eyepiece in there. The telescope's kind of crooked, so let me straighten it out. And this seems to be balanced right there. So we just tighten this clamp up, and that's all there is to it. You notice the focus knob here has two wheels. This is rough focus, and this is fine focus. So you get it close with the big knob, and then to fine tune it, you turn the little knob, and it turns little by little instead of a lot. And that's all there is to it, is setting up the mount and the telescope. And we'll talk about the computer right here. This is called a Nexus DSC. It's a computer, and the way it works, it has some sensors that hook up to this bearing, and it's got they're called encoders, and it's got another one that hooks up to this bearing. And when you do it, you do a two-star alignment. That means you point at one star and hit enter, and then you point at another star and hit enter, and then the telescope knows where it's at. So if you want to find something, you you put in the coordinates, and it tells you how to aim the scope. Well, anyway, the way it works, it's got an internal battery, but I like to use it with an external battery. I have Velcro on here, that way it'll run for days on that battery. And you turn it on right here, and it has a little flashing dot right here. When that dot is flashing, it's getting the GPS coordinates. And once it stops flashing, that means it's locked on to the GPS. And it gets the time and the date from the satellites. And all you do is put in your time zone, your offset for your time zone. And then it's got a setup screen, and then it's got a line screen, it's got a find screen, it's got a few other screens. Anyway, to set up the telescope, you put it on a line, and then it's going to tell you to level your telescope. So if it's like that, you set it up like this, and then you hit it OK, and then it's going to tell you to go to your first alignment star. And I usually pick Polaris, which is right about right here. And then I center Polaris in the eyepiece. And when it's dead center in the eyepiece, I hit it OK. And then it'll tell me to go to my second alignment star. And I have to know what star, the name of the star I'm pointing at. And I have my iPad tells me the name of all the stars that I want to use. So it's pretty easy. I just point the star over here. I usually use, at this time of the year, I use Altair. And I put Altair in the menu, and then I center it in the eyepiece, and then I hit OK. And if I did everything right, it would tell me alignment is successful. And then it'll give me numbers on how accurate it is, how accurate my alignment is. If it's a real low number, that means I'm going to be pretty much right on the money. And if it's a real high number, that means I picked the wrong star. It was a star next to it or something, and it's off, so then I have to do it. I have to pick a second alignment star over again until I get a successful alignment. And then once you have it aligned, if I want to find a galaxy or something, let's say I want to find the Andromeda galaxy, I go to find. I scroll with these scroll wheels. I scroll to where it says find, and then hit OK. And then it'll say catalogs, and it's got like 50 catalogs in here with thousands and thousands of objects you could use. Anyway, I'll pick the Messier objects. And they usually start with the letter M, and I know Andromeda is M31, so I type in 31, and it'll say M31, and then it'll tell me. It's got little numbers here and an arrow. And it'll say, point it up, and then the numbers will start getting smaller and smaller and smaller until I get to around 0. When I get to around 0, that means it's pointing at the right altitude. And then I just have to point it left and right, and then this side of the screen, it'll tell me. And when I move it like that, the numbers will get smaller and smaller and smaller until I get to 0. When I get to 0, then M31 should be in the eyepiece, and then I look in here, and if it's nighttime, I look in there, and if everything's right, M31 will be dead center in the eyepiece. And you could do that with hundreds of thousands of objects and stars and galaxies and nebulas and planets and what have you. They're all in the computer. You just point to whatever you want to look at, and this thing tells you which way to move the scope. Whether it's this way, that way, up, down, whatever, it's usually dead center. The only way it's not, if I can't see it, if it's too dim, I might have picked a galaxy that's too dim for me to see with this size telescope, so I can't see it. So then I have to pick something brighter. But usually, if it's a Messier object or one of the brighter galaxies or whatever, it will be in it will be in the eyepiece. Anyway, that's how I use my all-task mount. I hope you enjoyed our little tutorial, and I just have to wait till it gets dark so I could use it myself. Thanks for watching.